Today, I want to discuss an important yet often neglected topic that profoundly impacts Christian marriages. The traps in intimacy that many couples fall into without realizing how much they can harm their relationship and spiritual walk with God. These traps often disguise themselves as harmless or even beneficial behaviors, yet their effects ripple into every aspect of a couple's life. In this discussion, we will identify 4 of these traps, focusing on their subtle dangers and how they can be avoided. The last trap, in particular, is one that requires urgent attention. For anyone seeking to strengthen their marriage and align it with God's principles, this topic is essential. Everyday practices or attitudes, left unchecked, can undermine the sanctity of marriage and distance couples from the blessings God has designed for them. Therefore, I invite you to reflect deeply with me as we explore these critical aspects of conjugal life. Conjugal life, especially the area of intimacy, remains a topic fraught with misunderstandings and taboos, even among Christians. For centuries, certain cultural and religious beliefs have created barriers that prevent couples from fully enjoying the blessings God intended for them within marriage. Instead of intimacy being a source of joy, connection, and spiritual unity, it often becomes a source of tension or even guilt due to misconceptions rooted in rigid traditions or misinterpretations of Scripture. A pastor friend once shared an insightful story. A church member came to him distressed, claiming his wife was influenced by an evil spirit because she wore lingerie to express her love for him. While the situation may seem amusing, it reveals a deeper problem: how religious rigidity can distort the understanding of intimacy within marriage. Such attitudes are not uncommon and reflect a broader imbalance in the way many Christians approach marital intimacy. Religious rigidity often leads to an unhealthy fear or suspicion of any expression of desire. This, in turn, creates a paradox. While some Christians impose strict moral codes on themselves and others, they may secretly struggle with behaviors such as consuming pornography or even engaging in extramarital affairs. This discrepancy between public morality and private struggles highlights the urgent need for a more balanced and biblically sound understanding of intimacy. How do we, as Christians, reconcile our faith with our God-given capacity for love and desire within marriage? This is a question we must address with honesty and humility. We live in a world saturated with distorted messages about sex, from movies and TV shows to internet culture and social media. We are constantly bombarded with narratives that trivialize or exploit the sacredness of intimacy. For Christians, the challenge is even greater. We are called to uphold a countercultural ethic that views sex within marriage as a divine and sacred act. Personally, I recall my spiritual journey when I decided to follow God's teachings on abstinence before marriage. It was not an easy decision, but it brought countless blessings and strengthened my relationship with God and my spouse. Yet, I also recognized that many struggle in this area, and for those who falter, God's grace and forgiveness are always available. Obedience to His word, even after failure, can lead to restoration and renewed blessings. Within marriage, many couples assume that all practices are permissible, but this is not entirely true. While God designed intimacy in marriage to be a source of joy and unity, certain boundaries must be observed to honor Him. Unfortunately, some religious teachings perpetuate taboos that cause couples to feel shame or guilt about their sexual relationship. This misunderstanding often stems from a lack of open dialogue and biblical education on the topic. It is essential to recognize that Jesus, while unmarried, never condemned sex itself. His teachings on love, respect, and faithfulness provide the foundation for a healthy and godly marriage. The Bible is clear about the sacredness of marriage and the sexual relationship within it. In Genesis, God created man and woman, affirming that when they unite, they become one flesh. This sacred union is a divine design, intended to reflect love, unity, and mutual commitment. The New Testament further emphasizes this in 1 Corinthians 7, where the Apostle Paul addresses the balance between spiritual and physical needs in marriage. Paul highlights the importance of spouses meeting each other's needs and warns that prolonged abstinence can lead to temptation, which can undermine the marital bond. One of the most significant traps in marriage is adultery. Despite societal claims that true love prevents infidelity, the reality is far more complex. Adultery is a growing issue even among Christians, and its consequences are devastating for families. Jesus himself warned in Matthew 26 verse 41, "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." This reminder highlights the need for constant vigilance. Temptation begins subtly, often with a fleeting thought or attraction, but if left unchecked, it can lead to sin and destruction. James 1 verses 14 to 15 illustrates this progression. Each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Another dangerous trap is the normalization of practices that deviate from biblical principles, such as partner swapping or introducing third parties into the marital relationship. While some couples may justify these practices as enhancing trust or excitement, the Bible unequivocally condemns adultery and affirms the exclusivity of marriage. Jesus, in Matthew 19 verses 4 to 6, reinforced that marriage is a sacred union between one man and one woman, and no external interference should compromise that covenant. Abuse within marriage, whether physical, emotional, or sexual, is another serious issue that violates the sanctity of the union. Misinterpreting scriptures like 1 Corinthians 7 to justify coercion or control undermines the mutual respect and love that should define a godly marriage. True intimacy is built on consent, care, and the desire to honor one's spouse, not on selfish demands or force. Pornography poses yet another significant threat to marital harmony. Though it may not involve a physical act, it distorts perceptions of intimacy, fosters unrealistic expectations, and damages the spiritual and emotional connection between spouses. Hebrews 13 4 reminds us to honor marriage and keep the marital bed pure, emphasizing the importance of preserving its sanctity. In addressing specific practices, such as oral sex or the use of sex toys, the Bible does not provide explicit instructions, leaving room for discernment guided by mutual respect and comfort. Couples should ensure that their choices align with God's principles and contribute to a healthy and respectful relationship. Lastly, it is crucial to recognize that intimacy in marriage is not solely for reproduction. It is a divine gift designed to strengthen emotional and spiritual bonds. By avoiding practices that dishonor God and focusing on mutual love, respect, and understanding, couples can build a marriage that is both fulfilling and glorifying to Him. In conclusion, a strong and spiritually enriching marriage requires honesty, open communication, and a commitment to growing together in faith. By aligning your relationship with God's principles, you can experience the fullness of His blessings. Let us strive to honor God in every aspect of our relationships, seeking His guidance and wisdom daily. May your marriage be a testament to His love and grace, serving as a beacon of hope and inspiration to others.